Yeah, so it's just going to be
Just look through.
boom us.
It looks like the.
I'm going to stare at the camera until someone says hello.
Are they saying anything? I'm not seeing anything.
When they say hello, I'll stop.
Come on, people, save us.
Help us, please.
Out of the camera. Or at least
Aaron just
Glenn.
doesn't care.
I just had images of Dave Mack all of a sudden.
We got one.
Whoa.
Well, no, we got one person up there. Nobody over here. Aaron says he's going to stay like that until somebody says hello. So please leave a comment.
I got amazing resolve.
Yeah.
Until I don't.
Well, friends.
All right, everybody. It's Wednesday Night Live.
Someone say hello.
Please.
There we go. Hi, Shelly. You win.
Hi, Shelly.
Hello, Shelly.
I mean, wasn't that way cooler than that 30-second countdown?
Oh, sure. Yes, definitely.
It was for me. It was fun for me. All right, everybody. Welcome. Today we have Ron from Overcoming Carbs. And again, we have Nelly from Nelly Needs Meat. She still needs meat for some reason.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Hey, William. Hey. Should be in bed. I know, because you wake up so early, like 3 a.m. or something.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So today, I'm excited. We got another guest, and Ron's with us, and he's going to tell some of his story today and just how he got on the carnivore diet. Are you on a carnivore diet?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the carnivore diet.
Well, he's overcoming carbs, at least. You know that. Where are you about? You in Australia or?
Who, William or me?
You.
Man, I'm in Texas.
Oh, okay. So pretty much Australia. Australia.
I guess right now it feels like it if you look at the ground outside.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't exactly sure, but yeah. So today, Ron's going to be sharing his story. Nelly's going to be helping in case you guys have questions also. For any of us, if you have questions, make sure you put a Q or a question before it, so we try not to miss those questions. And so let's just get into it, Ron. Let's hear about your story.
All right. Well, my story started in April. On April 24th, I started the carnivore diet. We went to the doctor in April, and it was really my first time in a few months to actually get on a scale, and it was kind of my wake-up call because our scale at home can only go up to 400 pounds, and it gives you an error after that, so I hadn't been able to weigh myself. I knew I was over 400, but I didn't know how much. And when I went to the doctor, and we had all our blood work done right before we went because I had to do it yearly. Went in there and got on the scale, and when I saw the 440 on there, it was like, oh my gosh, I got to do something. And my wife has been fighting it. She had her thyroid irradiated back in 2011. And I mentioned on my intro on my YouTube channel that if I would have known now then we probably could have saved her thyroid. Because just the knowledge that didn't have the knowledge there. I think really she had, if she would have taken some probably magnesium and iodine and stuff, then she probably would have been able to handle the medication and so forth and get her thyroid under control and be okay. But now with her being on thyroid medication and also on propranolol, which is a beta blocker, she has a uphill battle trying to lose weight. She's been on keto ever since 2012. Keto or low carb keto, because she can't have more than 20 carbs in a day. If she goes above 20 carbs, she gains weight.
Wow. I know that.
So we've been fighting with her, and she also has the gluten intolerance. So she went gluten-free, low carb, keto. She's been doing that for years. And then one day in April, after we went to the doctor and I found out my weight. I was watching a video. I was like, I got to do something. I got to change something. I got to do something different. And I saw the video with Ken Berry interviewing Kelly Hogan. And my wife follows a lot of keto people on Instagram. And I said, have you heard of this Ken Berry or Kelly Hogan? She's like, oh, yeah, this person started mentioning that on Instagram. And I was like, okay, well, then you know who this is. So we started watching the video. I said, well, what do you think? Do you think maybe we should do this carnivore thing? I said, you've eliminated everything else pretty much. And the only thing you'll be eliminating now is salad and sweet potato here and there or whatever. You know, you won't be eliminating a whole lot. You're just going to be eating meat. She goes, well, what have I got to lose other than other food? So we started in April. And I went back to my first doctor's visit in May. And in May 11th, from April 24th to May 11th, I had lost 20 pounds. Wow. And when I went back to her, she goes, okay, what are you doing? Because this has been a month since the last time I went there. And she asked me what I was doing. I said, well, have you ever heard of this thing called Carnivore? And she was like, yeah, that's what Jordan Peterson talks about.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, well, I don't need to get into big discussion about carnivore and you're not going to, you know, tell me I shouldn't do it. And she goes, no, you do it. You do what you want. And your liver enzymes are great. Your kidney looks great on your blood work. Just go ahead and do it. You've already lost 20 pounds. Just keep going. Just come
Very
back
nice.
in months. And I was like, okay. So I started going back to her. And the next visit was in June. And I lost another 16 pounds or 16 or something. I can't remember what it was. But in July, I went back to her again. I had a little pain in my back, and she wanted me to go get a sonogram and an upper chest x-ray, just make sure everything was okay, you know, that I wasn't doing anything to my liver, kidneys, and everything. She said I had a little bit of an enlarged spleen, but nothing to be concerned about from the sonogram, and also that I had a fatty liver, slightly fatty liver. But she said with my liver numbers that she saw, that she wasn't concerned about it, that with this diet and with me losing weight, that should take care of that.
Okay.
So she said, hey, come back again in October, we'll do your blood work again. And we're just going to keep going like this. And you just keep losing weight and go on. My wife, like I said, she's on the beta blocker and on thyroid medicine. And she has actually lost now for the first time, actually losing weight. She has lost she just weighed again today. She's lost 15 pounds.
Wow.
As of this morning, and she's been doing the same amount of time as I have, eating the exact same things, but she just has that whole thing. The beta blockers just do not let her heart rate get up. Yeah. So no matter what she does, it's really hard to overcome that. They say, well, you know, that's really not a side effect, but it really is. If your thyroid hormone's off and you're on a thing that restricts your heart rate from coming up or anything, then you're going to basically have a sedentary life, no matter what you do. So she's finally losing weight because of carnivore, and I'm losing weight. So we're just happy as we can be right now. Just the fact that we are seeing progress.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's our story and where we come from and why we are doing this. And the benefits of this are just you see all the things out there. You know, worry about cholesterol, worry about this. You know what? I see so many things, you know, I saw your video about, you know, you going to the doctor and him wanting you to go on a statin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at all the videos out there that talk about the good cholesterol, the fluffy cholesterol. And, you know, cholesterol is in everything we do, you know, and babies are born in ketosis and, you know, needing cholesterol. And I'm like, you know, I've seen skinny people with awesome numbers die of a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not the only reason. I mean, cholesterol is not the only thing that's killing people or whatever. And when you see all that, it's just like, I'm not worried about that part of it. I'm not, you know, that's not even concerned. I'm off my blood pressure medicine now.
Nice.
I haven't had a gout attack since I started this. I was one of my worries. I was on Uloric for 80 milligrams of Uloric, which is the highest dose. Alpurinol didn't even work in me. And my dad has it, so it kind of passed down to me. And I was thinking, you know, if I go on this all meat diet, what's it going to do? And then I saw Ken Berry's thing about, well, it's not the meat that's doing it; it's all the inflammation and the carbs. that are basically causing the flare-ups. And so I was like, well, if that's the case, then I'm eliminating that. So, what could it hurt? And so I haven't taken any gout medicine. I've stopped taking the blood pressure medicine. I was low testosterone back in April. I went on a testosterone injection therapy. Vitamin D, I've been taking vitamin D just to get it up. But the B12, I had an injectable B12 that went with the testosterone because it has a counteractive effect with the testosterone treatment with your vitamin B12. And I'm feeling great. I mean, I know it's not just the 70 pounds lost. I'm 72 pounds now that I've lost total. So I'm at 368.
Wow.
And this is the lowest I've been probably in, I don't know, since 2009. And I know it's not just that. I know it's the fact that I don't have all the other stuff going on inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that battle going on. I don't have the inflammation in my body rejecting this and my body trying to dump this or whatever. It's just you sleep better. I'm on a CPAP. I want to get off of my CPAP, and eventually I will once I lose some more weight. I look at my events and so forth and only have like 1 or 2 an hour or something like that, where I was having 900 and something when I went and had the sleep study.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yikes.
And that was in 2009 when I had that sleep study. And they were like, they tried to put it up at the highest. I was on a level 19 out of 20.
Wow.
On the pressure just to keep me breathing at night, and still having about 30 events an hour on the level 19.
Wow.
And it was, when I get on this, now I look at my machine, I've got one of those that has an automatic adjustable thing. When I wake up, it's on about 11 or 12 with maybe 1 event an hour, 1 or 2 events an hour on my monitor.
Awesome.
So I'm like, you can't go wrong with this. I don't care what people say about, worry about your cholesterol, worry about the way I feel right now. There's no way I'm going back. I'm sorry. This is for life.
I saw something earlier today. I was watching something by Dr. Ken Berry. Him and another doctor are talking. He's like, never one time in his practice did he give someone like Crestor or Lipitor, a statin drug, and they came back in 90 days and said, "Doctor, I've never felt better in my entire life."
I bet
there was no change in their life, right? But you've been on a diet for how long? You said since April, right?
Right.
Like 5 months.
5 months, and now you're saying you've never felt better. You feel
yeah. Great. Within a month, I felt better.
Yeah. So
it's awesome.
Yeah. So it can't be just cholesterol.
No.
That can't be the only health marker, because you already feel that much better in 5 months.
Yeah. I lost
your doctor and said, "Hey, I feel better."
I love the fact that when you went back to your doctor and said, "This is what I'm doing," they were like, "Cool, let's keep doing that."
Right.
I told my doctor I was doing keto, and she got real serious and goes, "Okay, now you don't start adding butter to your foods. Don't start eating all the avocados. Don't start," gave me this whole list of things I shouldn't do that would very much fall into that carnivore lifestyle. I love that your doctor was on board.
I'm not trying to.
Yeah, that's great.
This doctor is awesome. This doctor is awesome because my wife was going into an endo, and the endo had her on Synthroid and I don't know what else, but she was like, "I want to try Armor. I want to try Armor. I want to try a natural thyroid." And he wouldn't do it because, the big P word. Don't want to say, I don't want to get.
I thought about 5 P words.
But,
I came up with one and it wasn't very good.
They wanted her to stay on that. And she's like, "You know what? There's got to be something better." Well, the doctor we go to was basically just a cash option doctor. They didn't take our insurance. So I said, "You know what? I don't care. Let's just go, because I want you better. And I want you feeling better. And let's find out what she has to say." We heard about all these people telling you need to go to this doctor. You need to go to this doctor. Just believe me, she does miracles with people with thyroid issues. So when we went to her, she's like, "Okay, I'm going to treat your symptoms. I'm not going to treat your numbers." because my wife is got low numbers but with high symptoms.
Hmm.
It's really weird. When she discovered she had a thyroid issue, she had a resting heart rate of 144 beats a minute.
Wow.
And the doctor she went to at that time was like, you need to go have a stress test. And we left the doctor at that time saying, no, I'm not taking you to the hospital to go have a stress test because it's not going to, you might end up, there staying because you might have a heart attack.
Mm.
And they called us that Monday, the next Monday, and said, did you go have that stress test? And we said, no. So it's a good thing because it's your thyroid. Your numbers are all off the chart.
Huh.
And it was like, okay, we knew in our hearts that God was saying basically, don't do this. Don't go have this stress test. Don't do this because it was like, we're not going to. And all of a sudden, it was like a light bulb. We're not going to have a stress test. There's something else going on. And then they confirmed it with that. But the doctor never would put her on armor. This doctor said, we're going to treat everything just the way I see it. And she put her on armor. She put her on another medication. She was able to basically feel better at that point with this new doctor. And this doctor that we've been going to since 2018, I would say, is awesome. She's just open-minded about everything. And we just really appreciate her.
That's awesome. I was going to say, I lost like 50 pounds on Weight Watchers. I never felt better. I did not feel, nothing changed. I was still the same.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, on keto though, within 4 days, I felt so much better. I felt amazing. And I'm like, I didn't even really lose any weight yet. So how can I thought the idea was you lose weight to feel better. So it's just mind blowing.
Yeah. So what do you think that is? What would you attribute? If it's not the weight, then what is it?
I think it's you're getting the junk out of your system. So you've just removed the poison that you were taking in. So because I right from the start I was doing very clean keto. So no sugar, no sweeteners, no processed foods. It was very clean to start. And since then, it's like every once in a while I would bring something in. Yo, Ricky, I could bring something in here and there, but it's like I'm done with processed foods. My stomach can't handle it. It's way too sensitive.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. Whenever I cut everything out and I went carnivore, I always felt better. Even when I was doing keto with my wife, when I just ate meat or had very little in vegetables, and then when I went carnivore, it was just like a switch went off inside me that it was like I'm not having this battle inside me anymore. And that's what led me basically to understanding that I had an addiction to sugar, that I had an addiction to carbs, because keto and low carb, they mask it because you're still getting the carbs. You're getting up to 20 or so. And the thing was, I didn't know how to turn it off.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to say, my body wouldn't, they say eat, it's like, I can have up to 20 carbs. And you do the whole net carb thing.
Yeah, the numbers definitely mess with you.
And it's kind of like you kind of trick yourself and you trick your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, I'm okay because I'm only having up to 20 carbs of this, but you're eating 20 carbs of crap,
You're consuming 250 grams of fiber.
Yeah. Yep.
So
it's terrible.
So your carbs are 240. Yeah. At that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And I have a type 1 diabetic son, and he's kind of come off of his honeymoon phase because he's 4 years into it. And now he used to do net carb, for his dosing, but now he's having to do every single carb and even protein. A fifth of the protein he's having to accumulate or account for on his dosing. And
I wondered how that worked with a type 1 diabetic.
Yeah, it's we watched some things on some endocrinologists that were talking about it, and they say you don't have to account for all of it, but you have to do a fifth or 20%.
Okay.
And basically what it is it because of
gluconeogenesis.
Yeah, that it comes later.
Yeah.
It comes you have like a 4-hour window but then you have this other little part that comes in, and he'll start getting highs like 4 or 5 hours after he eats, not 2 hours after he eats.
That's interesting.
And we're like, why are you doing this now? And it's like, okay, well, let's give a little bit more for the protein. And then all of a sudden now he's getting back to where he was. And that's another thing, though, I want to talk about, because his endo now is like praising him, or they want him to be a 7 on his A1C. Type 1. And he's 5.9 on his last visit. And
isn't 5.9 supposed to be like normal?
Well, 5.9 is pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
For a normal person.
For a normal person. Okay.
While he was going through his honeymoon phase, he was like 5.6, 5.7. And his pediatric endocrinologist was loving it. He was totally different. But then when he turned 19, he's now out of the pediatric, and we had to find him a regular endo.
Right.
And when he started going through a regular endo, they're like, well, we like to see him better, a little higher than that. And they're like, well, why would you want him higher? You know why they want him higher? Because they want him taking more insulin.
Oh, that's terrible.
Let's all make
That's just bad. Oh, my goodness.
What's his address?
Give us his number.
I'm not gonna
That's right.
I'm not mentioning who it is.
Okay.
But,
oh, my goodness.
But that doesn't, I mean, obviously I'm not a doctor. I don't even
I'm not either.
But that literally makes no sense.
No.
Why would
No.
you want someone's blood sugar to be higher?
I mean,
Agreed.
really, unless you're pushing drugs.
I mean, if that's already
Which they are.
which
They
is
are.
already at pre-diabetic levels. Like if he stayed at 5.9, he'll be perfectly fine.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. But the thing also, he's on a continuous glucose monitor, so they were more concerned when they looked at his history over the last 3 months. They were more concerned with his lows.
Okay, yeah. You gotta worry. I think lows are more dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, but we're talking 70, 75. We're not talking 40.
Like yeah, okay. And I mean, you could easily fix a 70.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the Werther's original.
But they never touched one thing when he was like at 250 or 270. It's like, what? Aren't you worried about those?
So they were okay with those numbers?
Yes, they were okay with the 250s and the 270s.
I mean,
Oh,
I
my word.
had a friend that hung out in the 500s regularly. It was just way out of control. And so, I mean, for her, I could see 250 being a good goal. But for somebody that's managing it well, that seems outrageous.
Yeah.
He's 90% in range. 90% between 75 and 150. He's 90% of the time in there.
That's good.
Ron,
Wow.
This is not really helping some of my struggles I've had with the medical system.
All I'm saying is take it with a grain of salt. Like Dr. Berry said, they're human. They're human.
They are. And, I think that's something to consider, too, because I talked to a friend who has been going through a lot of health stuff, and she's like, not all doctors are bad. Not all doctors are pushing drugs. Not all doctors are not listening to us. And I think that's wise to remember, but it's also really wise to remember to ask the questions and think through the things for ourselves instead of just saying, oh, you want me to do that? Cool, let's do it because you're the doctor and I'm not. And I think that's really what you've seen on this journey, too.
Literally, I was talking to my mother today, and she's going through a lot of health problems. And her doctors, she's frustrated with her doctors about all these different things because they're treating all of her symptoms.
Right.
And then she's getting, all these issues from the medication she's taking. And then the medications are making new symptoms that they're trying to treat with other medication. And I was like, do not just take everything that they say without doing some of your own research. Right. You have to do your own research. And I've said it before, like if you're going to an allopathic doctor, don't be surprised when they give you allopathic care.
Yeah.
Right. This is Western medicine. And I know they're not all bad, but they're doing what they were trained to do. But you need to be trained now to do your own research and find out and start asking questions. And if unfortunately, if it's anything like me, your doctor is just going to be irritated with you and talk crap about you in the hall.
Yeah.
They tell you
That
the
could
kid
happen.
rocks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but then I'm like, maybe I should go back and this time I'm going to hammer him.
Well, we had a doctor actually tell my wife when she was battling her thyroid and everything that she just needs to stop eating cheeseburgers and eat less
Okay.
because that's why she wasn't losing weight. And my wife
Oh,
looked at
okay.
me and said, I am doing low carb, gluten free. What the heck do you think I'm eating? And it's like, that really, I mean, when the doctor said that to my wife, I almost lost respect for the doctor at that point when
Yeah.
they told her that, because I was like, I really had to control myself in the doctor's office at that time because I was in the room with her.
Yeah.
And when the doctor tells somebody that you just need to stop eating cheeseburgers and eat less,
Ooh.
there's something else going on in your body and you're not listening to what the patient has to say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
I
was
am not eating that stuff.
So the doctor just assumed he knew what she was eating.
Right. Or that she wasn't giving all the details that she was doing this.
I mean,
and that's why she was gaining weight.
Well, one, it was bad tact because you can ask them what they ate. Two, as a doctor, people lie to him constantly. So if they're going to be cynics and skeptics, but that's okay. You need to hide it better.
Yeah.
You need to make sure you're hiding it much better.
I was at a dermatologist recently, and he looked me in the eyes. He goes, "So do you drink a lot of beer and eat a lot of pizza?" And I was like, "Well, I don't actually do either of those. I don't like pizza. I don't drink beer." But thank you for asking that as a question. What are we
right. Instead of assuming.
Yeah, he was looking for a food reaction to see if that's why I'm having a skin issue. And I was like, well, thank you for at least posing it as a question and telling me why you asked it instead of just being like, so I figured you out having met me 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had a doctor ask me what my diet looks like.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's the thing that they will say if you take your dog in and your dog is sick. They'll say, what are you feeding them? Right? That's the first thing that they look at with an animal. But with humans, it's like Aaron was saying, it's like they treat the symptoms first. Yeah. They don't get to the heart of the problem. It's the symptoms first.
Yeah.
But pediatricians do. Do they not do that with your kids if you take them to the doctor? Don't they ask you what you feed them?
They do when
I'm trying to remember. Yeah. When they're real little, they do.
As they get bigger, they just go, are you safe at home?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or sexually.
Are you having
yes.
sex?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, when they're little, they do, especially
when they were little.
Food reaction.
That was the number one question they would ask. Is right when we got in. Okay, what is he eating?
Yeah. How often are they eating? How much? What are they eating? And how
are they going to the bathroom?
Yeah,
right. For the first 8 or 9 years, they probably do that, and then when they get up to 10, 11, 12, they kind of break off of it.
Yeah.
But for the first, they ask you, what are they eating? So I don't know why doctors don't do that. Well, what are you eating? Just like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Well,
my goodness.
Do you guys have Rural Kings where you guys live?
What is it?
Rural King. It's like a feed store. It's like a.
We have something like that.
It's like a redneck Walmart.
Redneck.
Yeah.
Like Tractor Supply.
Yeah. We have Tractor Supply.
So I'm in Rural King and I'm looking at dog food. I'm like, okay, all this animal food, for a real carnivore, right? Has brown rice in it and all this. I'm reading the ingredients of the dog food. I'm like, what's going on here? And I'm like, man, these prices are crazy. It's like, and as the price goes up, maybe you can find a little bit less brown rice, but nothing crazy, right? And then I go to this other section. And I'm like, oh, this is the diet dog food. That is
or the geriatric one.
Yeah, the 2 or 3 times higher priced dog food for your dog to be now on a diet because you've been feeding this dog carbs its whole life and it has got overweight. And I'm like, I need to make a video about this because it's still irritating me. I'm like, are you kidding? Are you kidding me? So the same nutritionists that are in charge of this stuff are the same nutritionists that are in charge of our lives and what we should eat and what's right for us to eat and nutrition. And I don't want to say it's always like some big conspiracy, but I mean, follow the money, for medications for animals or humans. We don't need to eat all the carbs. Our bodies need no carbs. We can
Right.
make our own carbs. So why the push
Yes.
for carbs? Well, because if everyone ate meat, the whole world would die. Like, okay.
I like
Yeah,
I like that we're having a conversation about ingredients while there's also a kind of side conversation about ingredients going on over here in the
I'd probably
comments.
see that too.
I'm gonna stop my rant.
No, you're fine. You're
But
fine.
Ricky pointed out up here that we're now looking for bioengineered food, and
Yeah.
saying that it's even showing up in gum. I don't know what bioengineered food you're going to put in gum. That seems silly, but I've seen it on pancake mix, I think it was, which
Yeah.
bought a long time ago. But I was like,
Oh, so bioengineered food.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so then they're just talking about, I pop this one up, put on your monocle and check the ingredients.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Don't
Yep.
mind Ricky. I think he's a conspiracy theorist.
I didn't
yeah.
put on the other one.
You two haven't reached this yet, but when you get up to about 50 years old, all of a sudden ingredients get really small and really far away.
Yeah. It's weird. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Using your phone, you have to use your phone to take a picture of the ingredients and then
Blow it
I didn't blow it up. Yeah.
I downloaded a magnifying glass app on my phone
oh my gosh.
That's a good idea. Ah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, they have
29 years old.
at 29,
Who knew?
right?
one.
But yeah, I think, and it's funny because he'll come home and say, hey, did you hear about this? And they're putting this and that thing. And I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about, but all of these different things. And so for me, as I'm reading ingredients, I'm like, well, if I can't pronounce it and I don't know what it is, it's probably not super beneficial.
That's what we're trying to get to in this house. It's like if we can't pronounce it, it shouldn't be coming in.
Yeah. And I mean,
I mean,
it's stricter than that, but
yeah, yeah.
Your ingredient list is this long on the back of a label. I mean, you got issues.
so
Yeah.
You can't pronounce half of it.
he brought home pork rinds the other day. Normally the ones we get say pork, salt, and something. That's it, right?
Yeah.
There's like 3
You got
ingredients.
them from.
He brought
Yeah.
home a seasoned variety accidentally that he
Oh
picked
my
up.
goodness!
The list was this long of tiny print. Like, it was insane.
It probably had seed oils in it too.
Probably.
Yeah.
What happened? I was hungry yesterday because I walked 10 miles while carrying furniture. I was in the store. I grabbed I was like, oh, I haven't tried this brand pork rind. So I grabbed it, get in the car, and I put one in my mouth and I tasted it. And I was like, what the heck? I looked at it. It was the most, I have not tasted anything like that. I could taste the MSGs. I could taste the citric acid. I could taste all that stuff. I was like, this is trash.
No.
Oh,
And our
yeah.
kids wouldn't even eat them. We told them they could try them and they wouldn't eat them.
Yeah, I
No,
should
Yeah.
have
once you try it out, once you don't have that in your mouth, you can tell the things. It's like really enhanced.
But
Once
like
you don't
a
have
minute
those
later, I'm
anymore.
like, oh, maybe I should try another one. I'm like, no, you're an idiot. You don't.
It's not going to get better with more.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, well, one, I'm thankful that because it's an easy thing to just the kind of, there's a fly in here. I need to get my salt gun. But it's an easy thing to do to just like go back to old habits. Like, oh, I'll just try another one. But I'm like, absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Wow.
Because I'm so angry at the ingredients lists and how sneaky people are when it comes to food and food addiction. Have you noticed any anger welling up in you, Ron, you and your wife, when it being on a carnivore diet when it comes to this kind of stuff?
Well, what we've noticed is like when we go to the grocery store and stuff, we'll look at other people's carts.
Oh,
I do
And
the
we're
same
like-
thing.
Yeah.
Or we'll look at what people are putting in the checkout line, on top of the thing, and we're like, oh my gosh, do you know what you're doing? It's like,
super judgmental. That's awesome.
I've always tried to find, I'm like, okay, can I tell what diet they're on based on what they have in their cart? So I'm always trying to, I'm like, oh, I could tell you right now that woman's on Weight Watchers. Look at all the fruits and vegetables.
yeah.
Okay, I think that should be a new carnivore game. We go to the store, we try to figure out what's in
Yes.
Yeah. What diet are they on?
Then I see people from church and they have a bunch of liquor in their car. I'm like, hey,
Where's the
know-
party at?
I didn't know you guys were Catholic. Come on.
Do they try to avoid you?
Yeah, it's all right.
Not always.
I mean, you wouldn't really be able to tell from our cart necessarily that we are carnivore. I mean, I buy piles of meat, but there's still carb eaters in the house. So it's like, there's pasta in there, and maybe like some frozen fruit or something like that. So I don't know. I'm like, I won't eat pasta myself, but I look at the ingredients too. It's like the one kind of pasta that we buy just has a single ingredient. It's the semolina wheat. And I'm like, I guess I'm okay with that. I'm like, if you guys are going to have pasta, I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, as a parent, it's like you got to make some different choices. Like that is maybe not best, but is it good enough?
Yeah. It's better.
Well, yeah, better than the other stuff. Yeah.
Better than ramen.
Yeah.
I made a pledge with my oldest son that if I match him in weight, that he has to join me.
Ooh.
And he's like, when I first started, and he's like, okay, no big deal. But now that I'm more than halfway there, he's like, when my wife told him I stopped drinking soda, he was like, what?
Yeah.
Look out, Dad's catching up.
Because I'm like, I'm not drinking Diet Dr. Pepper anymore. So, I'm just drinking water. That's all I'm doing. I cut that out in May because it wasn't helping me at all with my whole addiction thing, because it was just giving me that whole trigger. I wanted something, even though it was not sugar, it was still triggering it in my mind.
Just because it's sweet.
Right.
Yeah, just because it's sweet.
So, Ron, I know you've brought up addiction a couple times when it comes to food. What are some of the biggest revelations you had or have had on this diet when it comes to food addiction?
I now have an off switch.
Okay.
Before, when I was eating keto or low carb, like I said, it wasn't just the number, getting 20 carbs or whatever. It was that when I would eat, I would eat, but not know when I was full.
Okay.
I didn't know how to stop. And it was like when you get to that point where you actually, and this is just the fat man's perspective here, that when I would eat just regular food or whatever, that I wasn't eating to live. Okay. I was eating because, and I love food. I love all different kinds of food. Believe me, I wouldn't be this way. I wouldn't be 440 pounds if I didn't. But when I would eat it, I couldn't stop. I couldn't just say, I've had enough. And it's like my body just said, hey, give me more, give me more, give me more. But when I cut it all out and I went to Carnivore and I ate for the first time just meat, I actually got to a point where I knew I couldn't put any more in. And it wasn't like I ate a 3-pound chuck roast or something like that. I mean, I was eating just a regular like ribeye, just maybe a 15-ounce ribeye or something like, or a pound ribeye, 16-ounce. Anyway, I was just sitting there eating, and I actually got about halfway to 3/4 of the way through the steak and had to stop because I felt full. And the reason why is because I didn't have all the other stuff going on inside my stomach, that it was just that, and that's all that was in there.
Interesting.
And I realized at that point, that's like, you know what? My body wants carbs. My body wants that feeling. And I used to drink back, when I was 22, 23, and I never got sick. But I actually, one time, I was like, I can't even tell you what all I drank this one night, but I was at the point where I was like, this is it. I'm stopping. And I haven't drank since I was 22 years old.
So a couple years.
It was like it cut off. And that was the same thing with just going to meat. It was like when I went full-fledged into carnivore, and that, I do not recommend anybody to do that because, oh boy, your body plays tricks on you. But I went full-fledged into it and just stopped eating everything else and only eating meat. And at that point, I could actually feel full, and then I could actually feel like I wasn't being driven by cravings. Like we went into a convenience store one time, and it was Buc-ee's, and we went in there, and they had all these different wafting smells going on all around you and everything. And I went in there for my kids, and so they could go in there. But I wasn't like, I need this, or I need that, or I need to have this, or I would go by the things and think, that just isn't that appealing to me. Where's the meat at? And it was like, but it took a while. It's not something that just happens overnight. It takes your body to adjust. That's why when people start this diet and they say, I've done a week in carnivore, I did 2 weeks in carnivore, I've even done 30 days. You're not how long did they say it takes to actually start or to make a new habit? Isn't it like
it's at least 21 days.
Oh yeah.
So, you can't just go 2 weeks into this and go, my body's, I'm got this problem, it's just hates me right now because I'm going through this for 2 weeks. You're having withdrawals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of the withdrawals of all the other stuff your body's used to.
Yeah.
Your body's been going, I've been putting my body through, I probably started gaining weight when I was about 11 or 12 years old. And so 41 years of I've been training my body this way.
Yeah.
And then for us, to be in this for this long, and then just to say after 30 days, expect, everything to just be, normal now while you're eating carnivore and all that is crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because your body is like saying, I have been 41 years this way, and you think I'm just going to change in 30 days?
Right.
You've trained me this long. So
Yeah.
don't get into this thinking that you're going to be cured overnight, or that everything will just be hunky-dory in 30 days or something like that. I mean, I'm into this now. What has it been, like 120 something days? You've done it for 500 something days, right, Aaron?
Yeah, I can only count to 500. So
Well, I run out of toes and fingers and everything, and you go so many times.
You run out after a while.
I can, where do I start now after 10, 12? Right. We have to give it time. And, we talk about, the alternatives out there. What are the alternatives? Yeah, people can do surgery. Yeah, people can do this. Yeah, people can alter their bodies. And it's like, you know what? Give me 90 days or more to see how I feel before I decide I'm going to go and have a surgery, or I'm going to change something. I mean, my doctor said, a year ago, offered me the chance, or said, hey, have you ever thought about doing a bariatric surgery? And I was like, no. And so, sorry, my wife's up now. My dogs are going nuts if you hear her. But it was like, just, I lost my train of thought, but you can't just expect your body to adjust. And I would rather do 90 days on carnivore than I would just go do something life-altering like a surgery.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did.
I heard that, I don't remember, I know it's Dr. Berry is at least one of the people I've heard say this, but it takes at least 3 months for cell turnover, right? So within 3 months, everything in your system gets turned over. And I'm glad to hear that on one hand, but on the other hand, like I started a experiment where I cut out nightshades to see if it helps my skin at all. And at first I was like, well, let me just do 2 weeks. And I'm like, better than that. 2 weeks is not enough. Yeah. And then I'm like, well, how about just a month? And I'm like, at this point, I'm like almost 3 weeks in. And I'm like, you know what? Let's not put a number on it. Let's just cut them out for a while and see what happens. And Aaron, I was going to update you. It is getting better. Like my elbows are getting better. So I'm like, okay, so it was definitely nightshades. I don't know if it's going to like retreat more, if it's going to keep getting better, but I'm like, well, that's why I don't want to put a number on it. It's like, why lock myself in? Instead, let's just keep going. If I feel good, what's to hold me back?
So what I hear is that you forgive me for saying tomatoes are trash.
No.
We throw
sorry. It's like, just the tomatoes. The tomatoes were really the Klingon that I didn't want to get rid of and I mean, I like red peppers too, and didn't want to let go of those. But it's if they're damaging me, why would I keep eating them if they're poison in my system? I've had to let go of a lot of vegetables over the years because they just cause so many problems. You were talking about like being able to taste stuff in the chips. Well, my sister-in-law and I went out to lunch yesterday and I wanted to they had a crab dip. She said the description was cheddar and crab. And I'm like, well, that sounds simple enough, right? Like what could possibly, and I can hear God telling me, don't do it. But I'm like, yeah, but we're out. I really want to try it. It'll be fine. First bite, I'm like, I taste pickles. I taste peppers. And I can't do pickles. They are trouble. So, I mean, I had that for lunch. I was up at 1:30 this morning hanging over the toilet because I was so sick to my stomach. And I'm like, all right, Lord, I am so sorry. I will try to listen better next time. Oh, my word. Rough stuff.
But it's funny when you were talking about addictions and like the time it takes to retrain our bodies. I mean, I've been doing fairly low carb, low sugar for a year, probably, I would say fairly consistently, but still giving myself a little bit of freedoms. But I am finally at the point where I can walk by something in the grocery store and say, I used to enjoy eating that, but I bet it would make me feel horrible. And so that is a beautiful thing that helps me keep walking because I like sugar and I like carbs, and it's been really a struggle to overcome that. But I think just, hearing you say it's a mindset shift, and just even being able to realize like that doesn't make it may taste good for 10 seconds, but it does not make me feel good.
No, It's not worth it ever.
No.
Well, that's one of those like mental things. It's almost like you almost got to mourn the fact that you can't. It's like, laying to rest a good old friend. And it's like, well, I don't want to put this to rest, even though, because I'm going to miss them and all this stuff. But it's like, but you have to, and you have to move on. And I think that's one of the mental game to giving up carbs, and the addictions. Have you guys, what were some of your worst mind tricks that you've had to go through? Like when you're giving up the carbs, like where did your mind go? Did you notice your mind like trying to trick you into eating food or just anything like that?
I'll let you go first, Nelly.
Oh,
I know it's a weird question, but that's how I roll.
No. Well, I was going to say I think the hardest thing for me to give up was actually the sugar, because I was still having things with sugar. I mean, I've been doing this for like 4 years now. I started as keto. I moved more into Carnivore, and I stopped counting. I stopped trying to play the numbers game. So it was like 3 solid years of Carnivore, but I was still having in my mind that idea of, well, if I can just hang on for like a couple more weeks, I can go have some cheesecake and it'll be fine, but then it's like something would come up and I would have like a keto treat. And I'm like, okay, well now I have to push it forward. Well, God led me away from that. He gave me the strength to completely say, I'm done with sugar, because anytime I'd have sugar, I kept getting reactions to it. And it's like, am I seriously hanging on to it? Why would I hang on to it? This feels terrible. So God got me off of it. And it's like, what's like Elizabeth was saying, it's like, well, now I can walk past things and I'm fine. It's no big deal. But that was the hardest one, I think. And since then, it's like, well, it was easy to let go of the Nightshades. So it's like, that wasn't a big deal anymore.
I think on mine, it was the fact that I was still drinking drinks and things that had the artificial sweetener. So it was kind of still stimulating that whole thought or that whole desire, I would say, for something sweet tasting, I guess, in a way. And then once I got rid of that, and once I said I'm just drinking water, then my mind was like finally able to adapt to what was going on inside, as far as not needing that. Not needing that sweet factor or whatever, the whole, the keto treat or whatever, or the low carb treat, every once in a while, or even a a drink of some sort that has an artificial sweetener. It was just, now if I have, if I do anything like that, it's highly diluted so that, you don't have that full-fledged come on, into your mouth of that artificial sweetener. I'll just do something like maybe spray a little bit of, some kind of liquid in it, like the whatever that is. Trying to think, like the Crystal Light thing or whatever. You just squirt it in.
Oh yeah, the little squirt bottles.
Yeah, but you just do just a little bit, but that's very seldom. It's mainly just water, but because I just don't want to have that whole desire come back into my mind of wanting that.
Yeah, and I guess, you said that you got your power back, right? But there's always, and when you get your power back, I feel like you're going to have like a caution flag going up all the time when it comes to even little sweeteners. It's like, it would probably be okay. Like it wouldn't be the end of the world. It wouldn't derail everything in your life, but how restrictive those chains were on you and how much power they held over you and not the other way around. That like now that you go back to that, you're like, it's like, I don't want to mess with my old friend Darkness over here.
Yes.
Yeah, because you know how the pain that can be involved in that. Have you ever been on a diet and failed, Ron?
What was that?
Have you ever went on a diet and failed?
Oh, many times. Yeah. I've tried Weight Watchers like Nelly. I've tried Atkins. I've tried. Did y'all ever hear about Way Down Workshop?
No.
The one that they have a thing on HBO right now about the whole documentary about her. Anyway, that was a thing that went through the churches and everything back in the early 2000s. And tried that, and that was basically eat until you're full and pretty much fast the rest of the time, and only drink like sweet drinks while you're eating, and up to that just drink water. It was, but the rest of the time you're supposed to be filling your life with scripture and all this other, all the other stuff. But
the Daniel diet.
Yeah, but it's called the Way Down Workshop. I tried that, and I tried South Beach, and I tried low carb and keto and everything, but I didn't get to 440 pounds by not failing. So,
yeah.
I tried different things, and I got up this large, and I failed at something. I failed pretty much on everything.
I mean, that was a loaded question because I know you've tried diets and failed. Because I have a ton of times. A lot of the people that are on this stream, I guarantee they have. But when someone says, I got my power back, you need to listen.
Yeah.
You need to listen. Because did you ever get your power back on the other diets?
No, but you know what? It's easier to listen on this one.
Yeah, that's true.
What was that you said? Sorry.
It's easier to listen on this one because you don't have all the other stuff fighting you.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
You've eliminated everything, so it's easier to hear. It's easier because now you know your how your body responds.
Yeah. So we do have a question. There we go. Popped up. Does anybody else notice water tasting sweet? And Ricky, I don't think they're talking about when you add orange flavored element to the water. Your comments are killing me tonight. But have you guys had that issue? There's another one up earlier that I didn't pop up on the screen that made me laugh really hard, but that's okay.
Yes, I do.
Water tasting sweet?
I have tried the element for what Ricky's saying over there too.
Yep.
But I'm okay. He adds the chocolate element and so forth. But yes, water does have a different taste to it now once you eliminate everything else. It doesn't taste the same. I don't know if it's necessarily sweet, but it depends on your definition of sweet, really. What do you consider sweet? Because it definitely has a different taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it tastes a little sweet. Could just be my area.
Is that like fluoride, maybe?
It does have fluoride in it, our water, which stinks. But
I feel like when I did carnivore for 30 days the first time, because I wasn't doing any sweeteners or anything like that in my coffee, after that, everything tasted sweet. Like it didn't matter what it was, like since when do we add sugar to this? It was very weird.
Yeah, she should have 90 days.
I tried ricotta the other day, and the ricotta tasted sweet to me. And I mean, ricotta has a naturally semi-sweet flavor to it. But I'm like, I take a bite of it, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty sweet. And I tried to eat the rest that was on the spoon. I'm like, I can't. Way too sweet.
Wait a minute. We can get a still image of that. That made a great meme.
That one. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, Berkeley water filter. Berkeley water. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do y'all drink coffee? Because I have never been one to actually drink. I've never acquired that taste.
Okay.
I
so
do.
So you're better than me. I gave it up and then I got back on the sauce, man.
I do. I love coffee.
Y'all do? Yeah, I've never been one. It's just too bitter for me. I don't think there was enough sugar or cream in the world to make it taste even good to me. But I was like, when people talk about they can't give up their coffee and stuff, I'm like, well, I don't have to worry about that. I've never had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to say that's one of the places I wrestle the most is coffee with the heavy cream. Because to me, it's like a treat. It tastes like a treat.
It is a treat. Yeah. Especially because I drink the flavored coffee. So it's definitely like a dessert for me.
And I got a lot of my power back, so I don't feel out of control. But like if I was going to be 100% honest, that was probably that's a hook in me, which, you know, it can be okay. I can write it off as okay, because there's a lot of people, like if I give them diet advice, carnivore advice, and they're like, do I have to give up coffee? I'll say keep the coffee with some heavy cream.
Mm-hmm.
I said you could do it, and if anyone gives you crap, you know, just tell them to message me on YouTube. because if that was the only concession to eating a strict carnivore diet, you're still going to get amazing results. Your life is still going to get changed, and you will get power back, and you will start looking at things differently in time. And so, yeah.
I knew it. I knew he was going to bring up rocks at some point. I was waiting to see what subject it was going to be.
There it is.
Yep.
Yeah, I still drink coffee, and I feel like I've done strict carnivore 30 days twice. And I feel like the first time I gave up all of the things, I still drank coffee, but I drank it black. The second time I was like, I'll do carnivore, but you're not touching my coffee. Like, I'm still going to drink it the way I like it. And it seemed like the first time was a different mental reset. It was a different taste bud reset than it was the second time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it with butter and cream and salt. So, I mean, mine's like really decadent.
Now, is it salted butter and cream and salt?
Yes, it's all of it. Oh, my goodness. And it's funny because if we go out and I try to get coffee when I'm out, it's like water now. And I'm like, I carry salt with me too. But if I don't have the butter and the cream, it's just sad.
Yeah, I salt my coffee now.
Because of this girl right here.
Because of you. It's your fault.
That's right.
Yeah, y'all can have y'all's coffee. My wife is an actual hot tea drinker. She likes hot tea with cream, and you know, so that's what she likes. So
you know what the problem with tea is? It's not coffee.
Yeah, it's lighter color.
Right,
I did try to switch at one point.
If you guys got any questions, make sure you answer it. We're getting close to it. Ask it. Yeah.
We'll try to answer it. You ask it.
Yeah, we'll try.
I was on that live stream, and they're like, "Yeah, I've been on the carnivore diet. This is my 500th day." I'm like, "What is wrong with my brain?"
It's cute.
I was gonna say, when you did those carnivore nachos and you did the pork rinds, were those Kroger pork rinds?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I was just sitting there on my table and I was watching your video. I was like, he has the same ones that I've got right here. So.
compared to the ones you get at Sam's Club, there's no comparison. Those ones are way better.
Oh yeah, I like those too.
Like they're not like super dry, and you can taste the fat in it, and that makes me happy.
We did pork rinds a lot in the beginning, but I can't. Oh, just can't stand them anymore. And it's sad because like we were using them to, we were making like chicken fingers, and you make like this pork rind mixture with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. The kids loved them. They were amazing. And it's like one day I just started getting a stomachache from them. I'm like, all right, never mind. Fine. I'm done.
Yeah, that's, I tell people not to snack. And so I really try not to snack. So I'll keep it. But I didn't have pork rinds for the first 6, 7, 8 months or so on the carnivore diet. I was like, I know it was on diet and saw people like use them as flour. I'm just like, nope, I'm enjoying how simple it is just to eat these basic ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
I'll eat my steak. I'll eat my steak. I'll eat my steak. I'll eat my steak. Oh, I'm tired of steak. I'll eat my hamburger. I'll eat my ground burger. It's like just going at it. Oh, I'm tired of this. But then I added some stuff in, and yeah, it's kind of, it's funny, like feeling so restricted, and then you realize, well, if I eat anything that has a mother, there's a lot out there. But I find I don't like pork that much. I don't like chicken that much, and it's just interesting to me the things that you'll find out that you actually didn't really like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found that my energy drops with pork and chicken. I just discovered that like a week and a half ago. And because I had been having a whole lot of beef, I was doing like different kinds of beef throughout the day, like different cuts and stuff. And then just to throw in some variety, I had some chicken the one night, and the next morning I was dragging. I'm like, is this seriously that fast? I didn't think it would be that fast that something would affect me. So I went back to beef, and then I had pork, and it was the same reaction. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll stick with beef then, and
It could be the leanness, or it could be other things.
Yeah.
There's so many variables when it comes to those things. But
Well, when you eat chicken and things like that, you tend to have less fat than you do when you're eating beef. And you could have less fat. And at that point, you may want to, if you're doing chicken, you may want to add some more butter to it or things like that to get that energy up.
So we do, anytime I make chicken, it's swimming. So I wonder sometimes if it's just the way my system works or whatever. Nelly may be sensitive to the feed. Yeah, I did think about that too. And it's like the beef just maybe is cleaner. And because they have the 4 stomachs, so they can process toxins out.
Right. That's true. That can also be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I should have read all of that before I put it up.
But, Aaron, you mentioned snacks and things you don't snack, but I don't know if how it was when you guys were kids, but when I was a kid in the early 70s, you didn't hear your family saying anything about snacks. It's like, hey, can I have a snack? I know you'll ruin your dinner.
Yeah.
We didn't do snacks. What we did when we were kids we ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but we didn't eat in between, and we didn't eat after dinner. But it was after like 1980 and right in that time that when all of a sudden now snacking was the thing to do. And I was watching this thing on TV the other day, and a commercial came on for Jolly Rancher. And have you seen that Jolly Rancher gummy commercial?
Mm-hmm.
And they have this little song going in the background about go get your snacks, get your queso and chips, and get your frosted donuts, and get this out of your pantry. And it was naming all this stuff, and it was like just sickening listening to what all they said. And do you ever see the Schoolhouse Rocks?
Yeah, I remember those.
They had one on there about actually eating cheese and eting like whole foods back in the 70s. And that one you don't ever really see anymore. And I can't remember what it was. And there was another like one of those Saturday morning things. And it was, I see get a hunk of cheese, but I can't remember what the guy's name was. My wife could tell me. But it was the commercial they used to play on Saturday mornings. And it was actually eating cheese, eating whole foods, and not getting all these things. And it's like everything when the tobacco industry basically took over a lot of the food companies and everything and bought them out. And they said, okay, what's the next highest addictive thing next to tobacco that we can do? Hey, let's start pushing sugar and grains and putting that. And they flipped, they made this food pyramid. And have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that documentary, The Magic Pill?
Is that the vegan one?
The Magic Pill was that one where the guy, he was in Australia and New Zealand and the Aboriginal tribe.
Oh, yes. I did see that one. That was good.
And they asked the people, said, what did your people used to die from? and they talk about how it was other tribes or other people would kill our people and all this, and then it says, well, now what are you dying from? They said, diabetes and heart disease and everything else, and they're talking about how they give their kids Coke for breakfast, and how their whole diet changed whenever all this stuff started coming in, and these people actually went in there and tried to take all that stuff away and take them back to what they used to do, eating from the sea and eating plants that they planted and things like that, and bringing them back down. And they said that a lot of them actually reduced their, they lost some weight, and they actually lowered their A1Cs. But at the time they were there for that 3 months, they were there with them. And it was, and it also had this autistic child that was severely autistic.
Yes.
And
that was a good story.
And she was eating all this. She was eating like goldfish crackers and eating all this other stuff. And she had a fit right at the very beginning of when they actually tried to get her to eat meat. Yeah. And they cut up steak for her and everything. And they came back to her like a few months later, and she did a 180. This little girl.
She was speaking.
Yes. She was.
Yeah, she was speaking afterwards.
Talking to him. And she was a totally different child after they took all the other stuff out of her life. And it was crazy. I would recommend you watching it. There was a big thing back in like 2018 that Netflix had to take it out, but now you can see it on Prime. I think you can see it on Roku and other things, but it's free out there on many different services.
Interesting.
But it's the one that you want to watch.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah,
I was blown away by the autistic girl. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I was reminded of the fact that keto diets were, used in protocols for people with that were autistic. And I know seizures too, but autistic stuff too. I've heard of that. Yeah,
There's some hospital in Hawaii or something. Wasn't it on that same thing, Nelly, that they were doing that? They were testing autistic kids with diet.
I think so. Yeah.
And they were seeing how they would respond to a keto diet.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing studies on them, and it was in Hawaii. And this one kid that came there, he was like totally nonverbal. And then within a few months, he was talking to his parents, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe my kid is talking to me."
I would imagine if the rest of us suffer from brain fog, because we do. It's like when you're on carbs, you've got the brain fog going on. So I would imagine the autistic kids, it's probably even more so. And then getting them off, I could just imagine the fog clearing and how much better that feels.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
I just keep thinking as a parent, being willing to even do a study like that, something that's completely unknown, we get pushed back for eating meat as adults and making our own decisions. But parents saying, look, we've tried everything else. Now we're going to try this.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like it would be very counterculture even, then. And even with I don't know. I feel like as a parent, you would almost have to be at the end of everything. I've tried everything for my kids. So now I'm going to give this a last ditch effort.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we got a lot to fight against.
Sounds good.
We got a lot to fight against. Yeah, I'm so thankful, Ron, for you coming and just telling us your story. And the fact that you said you got your power back, just makes my soul overjoyed. So I want to make sure everyone that got on this video, I'll make sure and put some links. Go over to Ron's channel, Overcoming Carbs on YouTube, and to subscribe to his channel and root him on his story. And writing this story on this journey with him and his wife, just fighting back, getting their power back, and we got to make sure that his son, sticks to the challenge.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
We got to hammer that. Make sure also to check out Nelly over at Nelly Needs Meats. She's always got something on her mind that's deep and just makes you think about food and how to think about food and just so many different things. So make sure that you support them, and because hey, we're out here fighting like you guys.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Rob or Nelly?
No, I was agreeing. Yes, we're fighting.
Bringing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's been a huge blessing talking to you guys tonight. Everyone that's been on the chat, and even you, Ricky, even you. Okay, before we get off, what was the message you put up there? Find that message you put up at the beginning that should never be on the internet. It was further up.
This one.
Go talk about. Oh my word.
All right. On that note, that brown note, we're out of here.
Oh my goodness.
Bye.